Hey guys, Happy Couple here. Today's video is 5 questions that you should ask yourself before diving into a relationship.
Don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube. It is that red button right there. And don't forget to hit the little bell.
Ding, ding. First point is, what are the qualities that you're actually looking for in a person? Some people just kind of like meet someone that's nice, or they're like, well, that's kind of an option, or they're hot. And so they jump in without actually knowing for themselves what they're truly looking for. We recommend making a list, a very detailed list of all the points that you're looking for in a relationship, but just knowing what you actually want and what you're looking for is gonna help you when someone comes along, you go, are these criteria being met or not? And if you already have an option of someone, you can sit there and go, okay, this is a good option, or wow, this is really not a good option, and you save yourself a whole lot of trouble and wasted time.
It's also that kind of thing that, you can kind of keep in mind. Like, you don't necessarily need to do that list in one sitting.
Yeah.
Keep it in mind and think about scenarios that you're in life and go like, would I want somebody who's like this right now? Like, you go to the movies and you're like, okay, what would they do? And these are things you just add to the list and add to the list and add to the list, and you're with your friends and then add to the list and add to the list. And so it's a little bit of a soul searching scenario applied to life.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to do that, and it is amazing how much more detailed your list can get. When you sit there and say, good, write a list, you're like
10 points.
If you get that far at all.
Or 3 points.
Right? And then you're like, oh, I don't even know. And then so you just start thinking about situations in life, like, when you're at home at night, what would you want this person's characteristic to be or qualities to be in all of this? And so knowing that then leads you to, great, you meet somebody, compare it to your list.
Yeah.
And see, really, are they that? And just realize if they're not, they're not.
It becomes a lot harder to make excuses because you've already written down what you actually want. So you're gonna then know if this person is not meeting the things that you want. It's then a lot harder to lie to yourself and be like, oh, this person's exactly what I'm looking for, because you can clearly see they're not, or they are. And then that just helps make a decision.
Next up, are your purposes aligned? Just really looking and seeing like what's important to you. The question, what am I trying to do? What's important to you? Where are you trying to get to? Like, the term like keep your eye on the mountain. Well, what is the mountain?
What does that mountain
look
like?
And where is the mountain? Like, knowing that will help you know so much about what is important to you, but also what's important to that person. And some people have completely different purposes, and that's okay. Like, we meet people all the time who are very different than us in terms of their purposes.
Great
and
people.
That's okay. Awesome people. I love them as people, as friends.
Yeah.
And people have different purposes, and that doesn't mean that one's better than the other, or one's right and one's wrong. It just means they have different purposes. But for your partner, for that person who's like, you guys are together, you're a team.
Yeah.
It's super important that your purposes are aligned.
Now, aligned also doesn't mean the same.
Right.
Like, you don't have to want the exact same job and the exact same whatever, but making sure that they fit together and are going in the same direction life-wise. Like, if one person is heading this way and the other person's heading that way, it's gonna be really hard to make that relationship work no matter what you do. But if your big purposes and goals and all of that are actually aligned and go well together and complement each other, where you can help each other and your life flows correctly, your relationship has a much higher chance of going well.
If you absolutely despise travel, you do not want to travel, you hate seeing other places, or you've done that and you've seen a bunch of places and you're like, I'm good, I just want to not travel. And somebody else is like, I love travel, I'm basically a gypsy. You're kind of like, well, is that really gonna work out super well?
Now, if you want a relationship where you don't see each other ever, well, then that could be a good fit. But if you also want to see each other and have time to create together on that relationship in person, then, you know, things like that are gonna matter. Next is making sure that your big ideas are aligned. Now, what do I mean by big ideas? Obviously, you're not gonna have the same exact opinion on every detail of life, or it's gonna be really boring because you're just gonna be dating a clone of yourself.
I would not want to date me.
No, I wouldn't want to date me either. You know, that's a whole lot of neon hair. So on the big things, on those big ideas, the things that establish who you are as a person and your gut core views and values, you really want to have someone that has those same views, because when you start getting totally fundamental different values and like core beliefs, and these big ideas are going in totally opposite directions, it's going to be really hard to find common ground and realize that a relationship is built so much on your mutual understanding and your mutual like agreements together, that if you don't agree on big things, it's gonna be really difficult. So again, you don't have to agree on every single detail, like, oh, my favorite color is baby blue and yours is lavender, and so therefore we're screwed.
Mine's baby blue.
It doesn't have to be like you agree on every single thing, but on those big ideas, you definitely want to be on the same page.
Next point, are your lifestyles aligned, right? And that goes back to what you're trying to do. This is very much aligned with your purposes, but are tied to your lifestyles. We actually had points where our purposes were like totally aligned. I mean, from the beginning, we're aligned.
Yeah.
We had that. Our big ideas, except fitness, were totally aligned, okay?
We got there.
We are there now. But the lifestyles were pretty overall aligned. We're both very much driven about helping people. It's very much a big piece of our life. Like we're very active, and that's what we love to do. I was not a good fitness person. So there's an aspect that it's like, it doesn't have to be, it wasn't like 100% aligned, but it actually got there. And it got there in a way that was actually much more survival for me. Being that I was over 80 pounds more than I am now and had high blood pressure, like so high the doctors were like, I'm surprised you're not in the hospital right now, and eating dessert for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and never working out, and it wasn't healthy. I wasn't going towards a healthy direction.
And now, Mr. Ironman training, look
and
at this.
Now I love, doing triathlon, and I'm training for an Ironman, and it's just very different. And that had to happen on my own ground. Like, even if she wanted that, and she had hinted, hey, do you want to come to the gym? Or, said directly, like, hey, do you want to come to the gym? That's awesome. But once I decided I want to make a change and I want to do that, that was when things really did start to change. But so, even though that can be a key piece of lifestyle difference, there were so many parts of our lifestyle that did fit.
Yeah, and it also goes back to the things like, if someone wants to travel the world all the time and live this like nomadic life, and the other person really wants to like settle down, build a home, and stay in one place, and those are things that you really want in your lifestyle, again, that's gonna pose a little bit of problems. If someone is like, hey, I work in this country and am never gonna move, and the other person's like, well, I work in this country and I'm never gonna move, and we can't or don't want to travel back and forth, there are some like basic fundamental lifestyle pieces that really kind of just need to be in place. Again, of course, you can have some differences in your lifestyle, you're different people, and that's awesome, but those like core pieces, you're gonna want those straight. And the last point is, do they feel the same? Like, if you're into the relationship and you want to create it and you're like, I think this person could be it, how do they feel? Do they want to contribute? Do they want to create on that relationship? Do they feel that way about you? If all those things line up, go ahead, dive on in. It's probably gonna be a good fit. And if not, that's okay. Move on. You'll find the person. Just keep these points in mind. We hope this video helps. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and share it with all your friends. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.